メジャー翻訳速報。
メジャー翻訳速報海外の反応へようこそ。今回はマーリンズとドジャースの対戦シリーズから見えてくるメジャーリーグの格差問題について考えていきます。大谷翔平、山本由伸、佐々木朗希といった日本人選手を抱えるドジャースと若手育成に力を入れるマーリンズ、両チームの違いから見えてくる MLB の課題とは。これからも MLB の最新情報をお届けしますので、ぜひコメント欄で皆さんの意見も聞かせてください。そしてチャンネル登録もお忘れなく。
And that is how we get this show off of the runway. This is Cubs Postgame Live, presented by Yuengling, America's oldest brewery. And today, the power strokes were in full effect. PCA with a whole bunch of loud contact, about 17 rows up. No big whoop. Seiya Suzuki also making this one a souvenir. And the Cubs, well, they played the role of Silverback Gorilla tonight, while the Pittsburgh Pirates, they were 100 men. So without further ado, you know what time it is. Time for us to get things underway. This is Cubs Postgame Live, presented by Yuengling, America's oldest brewery. I'm Cole Wright. That is Cliff Floyd. And Cliff, these guys right here, after that crushing defeat on Sunday evening, they came back. They bounced back, and that's big resiliency for a team like this. Always where you want to be.
Well, it's always good when you have a nice day off, get a chance to go to Pittsburgh, settle in a little bit. But you were right about Andrew Heaney. I didn't think so. You know, I really didn't. I just thought his stuff really played.
Okay.
He made some mistakes. We'll see after the Cubs, because the Cubs hitters are on another level right now. And the swings they put on Andrew today, he made some mistakes. We won't get into it with Carson Kelly breakdown in a little bit. But look at Dansby. He hit the ball hard in the first at bat.
That's true.
And now you're starting to see him feel like, you know what, that swing right there played, right? So Andrew Heaney just wasn't on this game today, but I think he thought he was going to be able to make some pitches to these Cubs hitters in certain situations, and they made him pay for it.
Yeah, Heaney looked like the Heaney that we saw over the last few outings, but once the fourth inning rolled around, the Cubs, they broke the offense out, and Carson Kelly, he was the key catalyst in that fourth frame. We saw that long ball that scored Seiya to give the Cubs an early 2-0 lead and most home runs as a catcher this season. Oh, he's right behind Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh, and we know he's been lighting things on fire with 9 home runs, but being right there, even with Sean Murphy and Logan O'Hoppe, that means that Carson Kelly is doing some serious things, and right now, he's having a serious conversation with Elise Menaker.
Carson, the first of 4 home runs today for this team. Heaney has not been easy to get to start this season, but what were you able to do in that at-bat?
You know, he's a great pitcher, and, you know, he left one over the middle of the plate and put a good swing on it and executed. So, you know, he's been very tough against hitters these days, and, you know, he's a great pitcher.
When the lineup is hitting the way it is, can you describe what it does for you just in your spot? Like, as an individual, when a group is hitting like this, what it allows you to do at the plate?
Just get it to the next guy. You know, you have a lot of trust in our teammates, and just go out and execute a plan and then get it to the next guy.
You and I have talked about the mechanical and the mental side. When you're having success like this to start the season, which do you attribute the success to more?
Probably all of it. You know, I mean, we do the work behind the scenes, and then you go out and compete, and just compete one pitch at a time, win every single pitch, and move on to the next one.
Here's a fun fact: no strikeouts today for you guys, huh? That's pretty good.
We didn't strike out. It's pretty cool.
You like that nugget? I got nuggets.
Look, I like that nugget. That's good. That's good.
Carson, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Elise, Carson, information helps the world go around, so let's continue to have it spin and provide you with a little more info. We saw Carson Kelly and how good he was in this one, 3 for 5, and just continues to chip in no matter where he's at in the batting order. He's a guy who's a presence each and every single day. Not only him, but we saw Pete Crow Armstrong once again. You saw a whole bunch offensively from these two tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, you know what? I saw guys that pay attention to detail, that knew what they wanted to do in each and every one of their bats. And when you have an idea and you do your preparation, I think it shows you. And I'm going to show you right here with Carson. We're going to start off with Carson.
Scooting back a little there.
I thought we was going to full screen right here, and we are, behind us. But look at the first at bat, right? His takes are so good. His A swings are on point. He just misses that one, takes a nice little change piece off the plate, misses that 89-mile-an-hour fastball in, but he's on every pitch. Oh, excuse me, I think that's the key. So when you talk about being on every pitch, you go back to the dugout, you go, okay, I don't think you have your A-plus stuff. He missed that pitch, but his reaction right there tells me he's like, man, that's the pitch I wanted, and he threw it again.
Don't do it.
So when you make him, when I say you make a mistake, you have to make him pay. The first time he didn't make him pay, but here the second time. Let's flip over to our center fielder, right? We'll stick the last swing at that. He knew he got it right off the bat. We were sitting there watching it, going, oh yeah, that was click. PCA, man, we're gonna have a real good conversation about him being in the All-Star game this year, that first pitch, put that 89-mile-an-hour fastball away. He goes, I know what you're trying to do, so I'm not going to let you get that pitch away, but you can't come in with the sink piece. Because I said it in the pregame, I said he throws a sinker 23% of the time to lefties. And if you're going to throw that pitch, you better get in on a guy like that hands because he's living in a tree right now. He's hot. But my point of just showing those quick breakdowns is when you have a plan and you can execute it in your head. Did you see what Carson Kelly did right there on that swing when he missed that pitch? For him, it's like, man, I know that pitch is coming. I can't not let him off the hook. Sure. And he did. Now, all you're hoping for as a hitter is come back there again. Just do it one more time. And he did it. And he made him pay. So this is when you talk about what they're doing collectively as a group. They're doing it to the point where you understand, right? You understand what's needed out of you. You understand you have to stay ready. But when he says, man, I can't miss that pitch, please throw it again, please.
Ooh. Yeah, just 2 miles an hour less the second time.
When that's the cat and mouse of the game, right? When you always hoping for something that you miss, you know, in certain situations. And Carson Kelly is just, his whole approach and everything that he's changed in the offseason and how he thinks and what he talked about with Barry Bonds and his approach and so on and so forth. All those things, man, it's cool to think about those guys, but then you have to go out there and execute it, right? You got to go work on it. You got to let the ball travel. You got to know when you have your strengths and when you have to work because you're losing a little bit. He has to always work, not only on his offense, but the defense as well. So when you think about Carson, he's not playing every day, so he has to stay in the cage. He has to mentally stay strong and then also think about when he goes behind the dish and catch the staff as well. So I just think they're doing a terrific job. Hats off to him. Mm-hmm. And he's sort of reaping the benefits of what he's done in the offseason. That's always the key for me. When I go in the offseason and I'm trying to figure out how I can tweak some things and move some things and get better, now I'm just hoping that I can bring it to the field and actually go out there and execute. And he's doing it.
Yeah, it's all about that in-game application. We've seen Carson Kelly do that. We also saw PCA, and you said that he only throws that pitch 23% of the time. Andrew Haney is who I'm speaking of. So PCA, essentially, not necessarily a mathematician, tells himself, okay, I really have a 1 in 4 chance to go out there and click him, and that 1 in 4 chance, it rolled around tonight.
Well, he just plays the game right? So when you play the game right, it rewards you because I think when in that situation, you're thinking about, okay, if he throws it in, I just don't want to hit this ball foul. I want to get this ball to the right side, get the guy over to third base, and get him to third base with 1 out. So he's playing the game right in his head and getting rewarded. So when you think about how he approaches hitting, he's like, look, I know this. I know I got to get to the right side of the diamond, but I can have my icing on the cake, right, and eat it. So this is him understanding how good he is in the box. He missed the pitch later in this game where he wanted to get back. He yelled some things in the box, but you know, it's hard to not be happy for a kid that's playing the game. I don't care if you don't like his antics. I don't care if you don't like his style, how he plays the game. I love his energy. I love what he brings to the game.
8 days a week.
I love where he's at right now. I love how he's thinking. Like he's thinking himself into right situations without overthinking.
Okay.
I think sometimes in the sport, when you have youngsters like that that's trying to make the adjustments, they overthink themselves into some of the bats we see from him. You're going to live with that because he's this good.
Yeah, we do love the way PCA's been playing. As the show progresses, we'll talk about his all-star candidacy in just a little bit. Will he make the team? Should he be the all-star starter in center field for the National League? We'll find out.
You said, will he make the team?
Well, that's all questions to be answered, Cliff. Hopefully your answer a little bit down the road will be yes. But in the meantime, we dig into some pitching because the Cubs, they're now 15-7 when the starter goes at least 5 innings. Shota Imanaga, he did just that. 5 innings, 87 pitches, 56 strikes. But we saw him leave this ball game in the 6th with leg cramps. Maybe it's precautionary. Who knows exactly what it is, Cliff. But either way, you never want to see number 18 exit the game this way.
No, we've had our your ace and Justin Steele go down. You can ill afford to lose a guy like Shota, but hopefully it's just leg cramps. Craig, in my opinion, did the right thing, get him up out of there, get the bullpen in there. Everybody's rested up. So hopefully there's nothing major other than, maybe lack of hydration or something.
And seeing the way that Shota Imanaga attacked the Pittsburgh Pirates, 21 batters faced, only 11 first pitch strikes, not necessarily the Shota Imanaga we're used to seeing, but the way he battled out there on the hill, that's the dude that we're used to.
Yeah, he battled. He was efficient with his elevated fastball. I thought he got sort of squeezed a little bit tonight from Charlie Ramos, home plate umpire. But listen, I think he squeezed both him and Andrew Heaney. Didn't get some pitches, but then he got some later in the game. He found his changeup. His splitter was working. I think at times his arm side change piece is what he's always feeling like he's pushing, like he's feeling like he doesn't have a good feel for it. So once he gets that figured out, I think he's back to being a shoulder of what we've seen in the past. But for the most part, he found something at the top of the zone, which these Pirates hitters couldn't get to it.
Yeah, it's almost like a guy out there on the golf course and can't figure out things with the swing, and you're like, okay, I just need to do this or do that, and then things start to fall in line. Following the team loss, we told you on Cubs Live just how good the throwing philosopher is, and he got that much better today. 19-1 in a minimum of 10 starts. This guy is as good as advertised, and the advertisements right now, well, they will continue to roll because Shota Imanaga, he is that frontline ace, and be sure to keep it right here on Marquee Sports Network and MarqueeSportsNetwork.com. Cubs Live, Cubs post-game live for the very latest on Shota Imanaga. Hopefully everything is all right, but when you take a look at how he pitched, the way he went out there, the 87 pitches, the 57 strikes, the 0 earned runs, and the 1 free pass, him being economical once again, living around that strike zone, not trying to be too fine. That's what you want to see from him as the season continues to wind.
You know what? He was around the strike zone. I think the most important thing was, the one walk. So he's getting to that point of, you know what, I'm going to make you put the ball in play. Strikeouts only 3. But I think as far as pitching to contact, weak-induced contact is what he lived today and was successful.
Yeah, 3 punch-outs. You didn't get that one right on FanDuel. We'll revisit that in just a little bit. But in the meantime, it's all about what the skipper has to say about today's win, a quality one at that. So here he is. Craig Counsell, take the floor.
Yeah, kind of both legs were just in the quads area were cramping. And, yeah, I mean, it was kind of an easy, had to take him out. But he feels fine now, no issues. So hopefully it was just that.
Had it bothered him before that injury?
No.
The offense, the way it just continues to feed off of each other, what are you noticing in these at-bats?
Yeah, I mean, I think no strikeouts is kind of what you take away from today. I mean, I know we had some home runs, obviously, and that's great. But to go through a game without any strikeouts, that's just means we're having good at-bats to me. Heaney was he was throwing a lot of strikes, and we weren't, nothing was happening. But that second time through, we did a fabulous job of kind of 2 through 9 hard contact, or good at bats every single time. So put some pressure on him. Anyway, it was a good offensive night.
What did you like from Shota in those first 5 innings?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just kind of a Shota appearance where it was just strikes, able to throw off speed when he got behind in the count to get back into counts, which is one of the best things he's got going for him. Is he can get 3-1 and throw a split and throw it in the strike zone, and that gets him back into counts and kind of gets him back even to keep the hitter guessing.
When he's able to locate the fastball at the top of the zone like he was tonight, what does that do for him?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the unique fastball that's just hard to get on top of, and you put it in that part of the strike zone, it's even harder, and it's just the hitters really to cheat to get on top of it just makes this you can't because of the split. So that's the genius of the way Shota pitches, and that those unique properties to the fastball and the level of execution make it really hard.
After both of his more difficult outings this year, he's been able to bounce back with 5 shutout innings. How valuable of a trait can that be for a starting pitcher to be able to turn the page that quickly?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you expect from Shota. He's, he's shown us time and time again, and I think the 2 outings before, I think he's pitched pretty well. Some things didn't go right for him, but that's what you expect. What we're spoiled by it.
5回抑えた後に体が少しつりそうな感覚があって完全につってなかったんですけど、6回に完全に足がつってしまったんで、その事前にピッチングコーチにもそういう体の状態を話してましたし、6回に完全に足がつってしまったんで、いろんな連鎖していろんな体がつる他のところがつる前に自分で声を上げました。
Yeah, so after the 5th, or a little bit during the 5th too, I felt like that feeling of like a cramp that's about to come. And so, I talked to the pitching coach. I felt like going into the sixth, and then the sixth inning, my legs completely cramped. So, before, it turns into a cramp in different areas of the body where it all connects, I think it was the right call to call it there.
Have you experienced cramping in the quads like that before?
その大腿四頭筋に、筋肉のつりっていうのは過去にも経験したことあります。
そうですね、こういうちょっと湿度が高かったりとか、湿度が高い汗をかいてるで自分のパフォーマンスがそんなに悪くはないという時にこういうことになってしまう時があったんで、何度か経験はあります。
Yeah, I've experienced a couple times in the past where, with high humidity and, when my pitching's, it's going okay, I've had it in the past.
What did you do or have done, and how do you feel now?
その釣りが起きてからまず何をしましたかで、今の調子はどうですか？
いろんなところに、一度体をつってしまうと、例えば他のところがつってしまったりとか、いろんな連鎖反応が起きてしまうんで、それだけ避けようと思って、前ももだけがつってる状態で、交代よくしたり、ストレッチをしたり、幸いにも他のところにそれが広がりがなかったので、今問題なく、ここにいます。
Yeah, so with cramps, I just don't want it to, have happen to other areas as well where, it connects. So I had, hot, cold, my stretching, and, I did a couple treatments, and there's no issue now.
Right. So just to be clear, you don't think that it'll affect your week coming up here?
この次の週とかには、この釣りとかでも、体のコンディションには関係ないと思います。
そうですね。自分の中でこれ以上やると、無理をすると良くなかった経験が、過去にもあるので、本当に数歩手前で自分で勇気がいる決断でしたけど、降板ということを次の登板もその先も見据えて、今日降板を自分で言えたので、次の登板は全く問題ないと思います。
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any issue for the next start. I've had it in the past where I have that feeling of, coming along, and I kind of push past it, and, that affects me negatively. So I feel like today, I was able to stop it a few steps before anything, and it would become a bigger issue. And so, I think it took some courage to say, I should come out of the game, but I'm glad I did.
What gave you the courage to say something now was the time?
その瞬間に、勇気必要で、そう降板するっていうのは、何を元にしていたんですか？
とにかく、今日カンセル監督も、ミーティングで、この先のスケジュールがすごくタイトで、厳しい戦いがすごく続くと思うというふうに、そういうふうにミーティングであって、やっぱ僕の中でも、今日オフ明けの1試合目なんで、自分が長いイニング投げたいっていう、そういう気持ちもあったんですけども、自分がローテーションに穴を開けるということが、チームに一番迷惑かかるので、それより前に、そうならないために、自分でそういう決断を下しました。
So, we talked about it today, Counts talked about it where, the schedule from essentially starting today, the kind of the grind starts where it's the longer schedule. So I think for me, if I missed a start, that's going to cause more of an impact to the team. So I felt like in that moment where, go up to the sixth, I think switching pitchers, I think that was the right decision.
How would you assess your outing up until you started feeling the cramps?
6回に感じ出した場合にの自分の登板は良かったと思いますか？
今までの投球フォームとかで投げると故障につながったりとか、無理をしてしまう可能性があったので、6回投げ切れたら一番良かったかもしれないんですけども、自分の中では今まで通りのフォームができない、と感じたので、今まで通りのフォームができないというのは感じました。
So obviously, I wanted to finish the sixth, but I felt like with my pitching mechanics, I couldn't maintain it. Where if I changed something, that might cause more stress in other areas. So I felt like that was probably the right time to call it.
You were locating pretty well at the top of the zone. Just how did that play into your success up to through the fifth, and what was the key to that?
その今日の登板で高めにそのコントロールすごいよく配球してて、その5回までの今日の結果を見て、その高めにコントロールが良かったっていう要因は何です
か？前回登板が終わって、そのトミーとか、ケイシとかゾンボロとかピッチングコーチがたくさんいるんですけども、彼らにすごいいいアドバイスをもらって、僕としては、この1週間すごくまっすぐを高めに投げ続けるということにフォーカスして1週間取り組んできたので、すごくこの日が楽しみでしたし、とにかく結果が出せて嬉しいです。
Yeah, so from my previous start, within the week, I was talking to Tommy, Casey, Tyler, all the pitching coaches, and I think my focus was trying to, establish that top of the zone, and that's kind of what I worked on through the whole week. So I was looking forward to the outing, and I'm glad it went well.
And working the edges, how do you, when you don't always get the calls, how do you make sure you don't give in and start working your way into the middle of the plate?
その際どいゾーンのところで、投げて、例えばボール球とか取られると、ストライク取られてないんで、だんだんそのゾーンに投げていく、そういうのをやらないのはどういう判断ですか？
自分の中では、いい球がボールになったとして、それよりもいい球はもう投げられないという、それよりいい球を投げようとすることが、相手バッターに打たれてしまうことがたくさんあるので、もうそれよりいい球を投げようとしない、もうそこには行かないというふうに自分で思って投げてることが、力みとかを排除する要因になっていると思います。
So for me, when the borderline pitches, or if it's close to the zone and it gets called a ball, I feel like I can't throw a better pitch than that. So I'm not going to try extra hard to do that, because I feel like when you do, you might push yourself a little too much and might stay in the zone a little bit more. So for me, I just kind of switch my mindset of, okay, I can't execute a better pitch, so I kind of stay relaxed and then continue to pitch.
So Paul Skeens told us today that his last outing, where you guys got to interact, he showed you how to hold a fastball, and then he said, hit his team the next time. So he said he might have to stop giving you advice. But what was your take on just meeting him for the first time when you guys did last year and getting to take some tips and tricks from him?
去年ポール・スキーン選手と初めて会った時に、まっすぐの握りの話をして、それをポール・スキーン選手が山永選手に教えたと。でその後にノーヒットノーラン投げられたんで、これ以上アドバイスは言わないと言ってたんですけど、彼とのその初めて会った時にはどう思いました？
まず、彼のような、本当に歴史的な才能を持った選手と同じ時代で野球をやれてるってことが、ものすごく僕にとっては光栄ですし、もし彼は何も教えてくれないかもしれないですけど、彼に質問して彼の言葉を聞いてそれを実践するということが、かけがえのない時間なので、チャンスがあればいろんなことを彼に聞きたいと思います。
So I think him, he's just a fantastic pitcher and very, with his potential, just historic. And I think just being able to play baseball at the same time that he is, that's a big honor. And, he might not be giving me any more advice, but I still, would want to talk to him, ask him questions about, everything.
He said he still wants to talk to you too, to be fair.
で彼はまだ一応山田選手と話したいとは言ってました。
Oh, thank you.
Shoto always has a flair for the dramatic. Good stuff from he and Edwin, and even better stuff right here. Since the start of 2024, he is among the league's elite. Skubal, Wheeler, Sale, King, Fried, and Imanaga. You better put some respect on his name with that 2.88, and hopefully the cramps won't play a part in that next start. He'll be right. We continue to roll. This is Cubs Post Game Live, presented by Yuengling, America's oldest brewery. He's Cliff Lloyd. I'm Cole Wright, and this, ladies and gentlemen, could be the starting center fielder for the National League All-Star squad. Pete Crow Armstrong. Right now, he's out in front. You see the Fangraphs war leaders, center fielders, Jung-Hoo Lee, trailing PCA, and O'Neal Cruz, a gentleman who we saw 4 times this evening. Will he be named? Will it be Jung-Hoo Lee, or will it be PCA? Questions to be answered. But just to let everybody know that the outfielders for that Midsummer's Classic, they're not selected specifically by position. So the best outfielders, at least in the fans' eyes, those are the ones that get the nod. But what do you say? Will PCA, will he get the fan vote, and will he be that starter? Should he be? A whole bunch of questions that
will he be?
Answered.
Yes. And should he be? Absolutely.
Okay.
So, you know, look, the other two are pretty darn good as well. So, I mean, I'm not just putting PCA, ahead of these guys in a sense that, he's that much better. I just believe the way he's playing the game right now, how the game is slowed down, how he's putting himself in positions to now understand that these guys are going to be consistently, hitting that hole in the swing that he has at times. They're going to exploit those things, but he's smart enough to make the adjustments. And so the big moments that he's had since opening day, his jumps on the balls, he's going to win a Gold Glove. He's probably going to be up there with Ellie De La Cruz, for stolen base crown. Like the things he can do in the outfield as far as his throws. I mean, everything that he's bringing to this team is about winning, and that's why they have him here. It's about winning. It's not about him. It's not about individualized, accolades. It's about him helping this team win a championship. And he understands that at his age. And so when you think about the All-Star game and what it means, look, you go into every season, you want to win a chip. That's what you want to do, right? You want to help your team win the chip. But when you can add the extras, the MVP conversations, the All-Star, all these things, the Silver Slugger, the Gold Gloves, that's when you put yourself in a different category. So all these things, when you look at the FanGraph work, I mean, this speaks to what a winning player is going to be on this board.
Yeah. Now, look who's right behind PCA.
Well, Kyle Tucker and Lee. And Kyle Tucker, we've talked about
been fantastic.
A ton. But when you think about this board, every one of them, first of all, they're young and they're rich, right? and so, but you only get to that point early in your career if they see you being the guy that can be a winning player for a long time. And so that's why you have Fernando Tatis. When he's healthy, he can be that guy.
That's why he signed a 14-year contract.
Corbin Carroll, same guy, right? Signs a big deal. We've seen that PCA turn down a deal because he believes he's in that category, those two ahead of him. So, and rightfully so. So I just feel like now he's at that point where I'm just excited to see what's going to happen. But I think he now knows it, right? Like everything about what he brings to the table, like how he's playing the game is totally different. And even though he came up in a small sample size, he was at power threat last year at the end. He stole some bags. He did the things we was like, let's hurry up and get to the new season and see what he's going to bring.
And with that said, you and I, we've done this before. We've played a little comparing and contrasting game before where I write down a name and I say, who does this guy remind you? The other day, we hit the nail on the head. You said that Kyle Tucker reminds you a whole bunch of Larry Walker. If there's one player in center field right now that PCA reminds you of a guy you played against and maybe with, who do you think it is?
Kenny Lofton.
No, that's not who I had. I had Devon White. That was your second answer?
Yeah.
You're,
Devo.
So close.
And you said
so close.
But I only said Kenny because Kenny had the power.
He did.
And he had the speed,
Should
right?
be a Hall of Famer.
Should be a Hall of Famer. Kenny Lofton was a stud.
Yeah, he is.
And so I thought you was going there with it. But Devo was smooth. I mean,
the defense.
Well, I don't.
I
don't know if. Listen, Devo's defense was different, Cole.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I mean, I know this kid is all about it, and man, I give him everything. His jumps, he makes these plays look super easy. I don't think Devo could do that though. I mean, Devo had some pop in the back.
Yeah.
But I don't think he had that type
He's
of
just
pop.
starting to come into his own, and the game is starting to slow down. We talk about it each and every single day, and it's really true.
Yeah, that's a different type of.
Okay.
Like I think this swing is. I mean, those are line drives that 6'4", 250 type dudes hit. That one right there. Devo hit like little lofty homers, but his defense was on point. He could glide to every base and run the bases like a track meet. So I think. Where we at?
I think I have the control room. It says Devon White on line one taking exception with you saying that he didn't have pop like that.
Devo, if you listen, it's not you didn't have pop. What I'm saying is that type of line drive is kind of different than what I've seen him hit in my years of playing with Devo.
That's true. You could have hung laundry on that ball that PCA got out of PNC
that was
earlier in the evening. That's right. And it was a fantastic evening. Back once again, round and third headed for home right here on Cubs Post Game Live, presented by Yuengling, America's oldest brewery, alongside Cliff Lloyd, Cole Wright at your service. And we told you all the starters logged themselves a hit. That is something good to see. You see, Seiya Suzuki with 3, Carson Kelly Carson George Herman Ruth Kelly. That's his new middle name. He had a 2-run pop, a pair of singles, 3 RBIs. He's been doing it all season long. And part of what he was able to do, well, we saw it, but we saw the watch with. Cliff and I, we got after it. That was the first of the third innings when it was a scoreless affair. So let's reflect. It's the best of watch with. But either way, I digress. Cliff, who are you tipping the cap to this evening?
You know what? I'm going to get some love to Dansby Swanson. It's time, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I talk about him so much, I know this game is hard, man. I know this game beats you up. It keeps you up at night. Sleep is nice. I've been there 1,000 times. You hit some balls hard. You hit atom balls right at people. And you get one ball to go out and you sleep good tonight. The food tastes better. The shower was hot. You know what I mean? And so
hot dogs taste like steak, don't
you know
they?
what I mean? And so I'm going to tip my hat to him and go, I hope this gets you on the right street. Turn the corner. Figure out some things. Watch that enough times tonight where you can kind of sleep with your phone with that video on and wake up to it
on repeat.
And then just kind of bottle it up to the point where you're feeling like, all right, because he knows he doesn't belong in A-hole, but it's where he belongs right now until you get right.
Okay, Dansby Swanson.
So hats off to my
that
man.
carries over, and we see a few more long balls. And how about just some screamers in the gap? That's what we want to see.
Take that
from a shortstop like Dansby Swanson. Is it okay if I give a curtain call as well?
Absolutely.
Can I tip my cap to flamethrower extraordinaire Daniel Palencia?
Yes, sir.
He came in an unfamiliar spot. 6th inning, 0 outs, runner on second base, a dirty frame. Had a little bit of chaos and damage going on out there, but what did he do? He wiggled out of it. If he wants to be a high-leverage guy as the season continues to unravel, then he needs to be high-leverage in positions like this, Cliff.
You know what? We say it all the time, Cole. You got a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Use it.
Use it. Don't be afraid of it.
Right? Secondary stuff in these situations with a guy on third with less than 2 outs, throw the fastball. Make him speed up the bat, right? Don't give him a chance to hit the secondary stuff. That in that spot, he let it rip. Got the big out in the situation where he's down there chilling, shoulders going. You don't know that phone's going to ring right there until he walks off the field. You don't know who's getting up. You get the call, you got to go in there and do work, and he did.
More performances like this, maybe we'll see Daniel Palencia be the 7th inning guy, Porter Hodge be the 8th inning guy, and Ryan Presley coming in shutting things down. You jive with that?
I jive with that.
Things alongside Matt Capps and Alex Presley. I'm Rob King. Bizarre game in this, Matt. The guys were talking about it. No strikeouts for the Pirates.
Now,
and you were on the mound the last time that happened.
Yeah. Well, I learned that during the game thanks to Greg Brown and Kevin Young. But, I mean, hey, it doesn't happen very often, but we saw it tonight.
And Alex, you have to have such a short memory in this game. I mean, look, you're coming off a decent road trip, 3-3. You treaded water in an area where a lot of folks thought, wow, that's going to be a tough road trip. You come home, you get the first place team. I mean, you can't let this linger too long.
No, and you can't. It's a long season, and you're going to take these beatings every now and then. It just is what it is. But yeah, a lot of confidence. They should have a lot of confidence coming off that road trip. And today, you just got to flush it, move on, and go get them tomorrow. That's all you can really do.
Okay, in the beginning of this game, we're expecting a pitcher's duel between Heaney and Imanaga, and we got it early. Yeah. Heaney was terrific in the early part of this game. Things kind of came apart relatively rapidly for him, just a couple of pitches. But early on, it looked like it might be another strong performance from Andrew Heaney.
Yeah, it looked that way. The first 3 innings, scoreless, obviously, and then he kind of lost that feel for the strike zone a little bit, was missing in the big part of the plate, and the long ball. The long ball is what came around to ultimately end up biting him. But, you knew the run, like the last 2 starts, wasn't going to continue forever. You see a couple of good defensive plays. I think we just heard Steven and Michael talking about 3 different times we recorded an out with a bare hand play of some sorts. But early on here, you kind of see weak contact, guys lunging, going out after balls, and then that right there, Alex actually pointed it out. It was back-to-back sliders. That was the second slider essentially in the same spot. And then Pete Crow Armstrong, we talked about him in the pregame shows. He's one of those guys that's at the top of the league in WAR. And, I mean, he showed you today why. Barrel to the baseball, good power. He's a speed guy, just a really athletic kid. And, another guy doing some damage against us today.
And sometimes, Alex, look, you hate to say this after a loss all the time, but, you doff your cap to the opponent or whatever. But the Cubs, you notice something in that 5th inning. It's already 2-0. And then all of a sudden, 2 first-pitch fastballs on back-to-back swings, and now it's 4-0.
Yeah, we talked about how good Heaney's fastball had been this year and how aggressive he was with it. And it looked like the 5th inning, they came out, hey, we're going to ambush this thing and get on it quick. So you see Horner with the double, and then Crow Armstrong looks like he's looking in for this fastball and just gets the barrel to it. And that's just going to happen when you're a guy that gets in with fastballs early on. Eventually, guys are going to start to cheat to it, and they essentially did it at the right time. And then at that point, they kind of got him off the plate a little bit. He was a little more careful with what he was doing, and got him off his game and had a few walks. And then Nicholas had to come in and finish it off. But yeah, good start to the game for the first 11 hitters, and then a couple barrels. It's crazy, Caps as a pitcher, what a couple barrels can do to you as a pitcher.
Yeah, it really can. It can get in your head, and you start trying to nibble, and that's kind of what we saw with Heaney, the 3 walks in 4 2/3, and then the real damage pitches you talked about with Pete Crow Armstrong, fastball looking in. It was really kind of inner third, middle-ish even, and then the slider, inner third, middle, down and into the right-handed hitter, able to get the barrel out to it. Yeah, you get hit hard a couple of times. It's human nature. You kind of get afraid of hard contact and want to start nibbling, free passes, pitch count goes up, you're out of the game earlier, guys get on base, then you realize you have to come back into the zone and guys are ready to hit. It's not a good recipe for success.
Well, this is an interesting part of the game, right? Because, Alex, you might go up looking for a pitch and you think, okay, that was a good approach that I had. I'm sure from the pitcher's perspective, you're like, look, if I'd thrown that pitch where I wanted to, it wouldn't have mattered what your approach was.
That's right. I mean, I talk about it all the time. Pitch selection is important and there's value to it, but at the end of the day, pitch execution kind of trumps it all. And I'm sure Alex will agree, any hitter will agree. A fastball down and away, especially with the velocity that a lot of these guys are throwing at, is hard to hit. Now, if I can change speeds and be on the edges of the plate too, it's even more difficult. Now, if I can go down below the strike zone with something that looks like a strike out of my hand, it's almost impossible to cover all of that. But at the end of the day, you can't, as a pitcher, you can't give the hitter too much credit. Understand, a well-located fastball down and away will always play. It's hard to do damage against that pitch, but it's also hard to execute that pitch, 10 times out of 10.
We've heard the expression that home runs are thrown, not hit. As a hitter, I think I'd be mildly offended by that, though. Alex, you still got
you still have to swing the bat, and it's still coming in there pretty good. But yeah, the margins are so thin for pitching and hitting, as far as hitting corners or just being on the plate just a little too much against certain guys that can really handle the bat. And I think we saw that happen a couple times tonight. Carson Kelly, I mentioned the back-to-back sliders. He threw the first slider really nice down and in, got a foul ball, and then he tried to kind of go back to it, left it a little too much in the middle of the plate, the pitch he'd already seen, and he got to that one. So yeah, it's very small, the margin we're working with on the pitching side and the hitting side for success.
So we talked about the Cubs before this game, and Justin Steele obviously is a huge loss for their rotation. Elbow surgery that he needed. He's going to be out for the year after making a couple of starts at the beginning of the season. The one guy is good is Shota Imanaga. We talked about him in the pregame show. 15-3 a year ago. He's now made 3 starts against the Pirates, 19 innings, 0 runs.
The Pirates haven't been able to figure him out. I mean, he's just been able to have their number. And sometimes you just feel comfortable against certain teams, and there's no rhyme or reason why. But, today with Shota Imanaga, he was changing speeds. We talked about the fastball. We talked about the split. He was using that combo quite a bit. And even that one right there to O'Neal Cruz, not where he wanted it to go, but it shows you the stuff. The fastball at 91, 92 miles an hour plays up a little bit right there. The split down at the bottom of the zone to Brian Reynolds, it kind of stayed up a little bit. Normally he wants that to start at the bottom of the zone and drop way down. Stayed up through the zone. You can see the frustration on Brian Reynolds. Unfortunately for the Cubs and Shota Imanaga, he leaves with leg cramps. That's not, the end of the world, but, the Pirates also couldn't get anything going against the Cubs bullpen. But we'll look at the StatCast. You see his arsenal here. Some of these fastballs are in the middle of the plate, and he's got that Invisa fastball, but a lot of times it's set up by the pitch before it. Like right there in the middle part, the 4-seam fastball in the red. I believe that was one of the strikeouts that came after a split down. So the hitter, the sight line, the visibility, it looks like, okay, it's split, it's gonna start right there, it's gonna end up being a ball, and the next thing you know, at 91, 92, it rides through the zone, and it's strike 3. So the way he complements his arsenal, he does it really well.
And it's one thing I think, Alex, when you're facing a Paul Skeens and he's dotting up, there's nothing much you can do. You just, you're just getting. He just has dominant stuff. Is it more frustrating when a guy like this is just keeping you off the barrel? You think you're getting a good swing, and then all of a sudden, oh man, I topped it, or I got under it, or what have you?
Yeah, I thought the approaches were pretty good tonight. Honestly, I mean, they just had some fastballs that probably had the splitter in the back of their mind, and they were just a tick late on some of those balls to the outfield in the air, and they looked like they had the right mindset coming in. But I mean, when he's executing those pitches, they're tough to hit. So he did a great job of getting the guys off the fastball, then going back to it at a point where they might not be expecting it. And we even saw him throw the splitter to Cruz, a lefty, which he almost never does, but he brought it out of his back pocket for one at bat, and it worked out for him. So
I liked how you were talking about that during the game, just you and I. Like, what'd you say, 7% or 8% of the time he'll throw that split against lefties. But if you're O'Neal Cruz and you're in the heart of that lineup, like O'Neal Cruz is with the Pirates, he's kind of the guy. You have to assume that you're going to be the guy that's going to see that 7% split left on left, and that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Pirates lose by the final score of 9-0, dropping game 1 of this 3-game set against the Cubs at PNC Park.
Yeah, I mean, ball looked like it got up a little bit. That's where it's at. I mean, he did a good job first time through. I mean, he was in order and then just looked like he got some balls up. I mean, Cruzy made the diving catch, and then, Suzuki and Kelly both like back-to-back. And then, the next inning he got a pitch up to PCA, and he hit it out. But it looked like the ball just kind of got up and he lost his command.
What led Shota to be so effective?
Yeah, he's been effective against us. Fastball split. I mean, we got ourselves in a couple situations to be able to, score runs, and he made pitches. He made pitches on one. They made a nice play on another one, and we just couldn't break through.
And then their bullpen has been struggling. You guys kind of get a break with Shota exiting with the leg cramps. How frustrating is it to only get one hit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is. I mean, Palante came in and did a really good job, and I mean, he settled down after the early command issues, and then the game kind of got out of hand there, and so we got to break through at some point. We had some opportunities.
How would you assess what you saw from Holderman tonight in particular? Was it more locational with him again tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think he threw the one bad, what was a sweeper that got hit out, but his velo was back up, so we just need to continue to build him up, build him back. He had the one tough outing in LA, and then he bounced back and had a good outing, so we just need to continue to get him reps.
The play that O'Neal made in center, is that the type of plays that we think about the 90% athlete that he is, that you're not surprised he's making?
Yeah, I mean, the more his reads and jumps get better, which I think we've seen over the past 10 days, I think the more we're going to see plays like that, but it was a heck of a play.
What do you need to do to get Brian back into just being, the consistent player offensively that he can be? I mean, it seemed like the National Series going into the Angels Series, I think 3 3-hit games, but he's kind of struggled over the last 4.
Yeah, it looks like he's going out of his zones. He's not staying in his hitting zones, and we got to make sure. I mean, I think, referring back to those 2 3-hit games, we saw him get in his hitting zones. We just got to get him back in there and not chasing.
Zooming out, obviously this isn't the position anyone wants to be in here at the end of April, but just what gives you faith that you guys as a club are going to be able to dig yourself out of this hole?
Well, I think number one, at some point offensively, we're going to get healthy. We're going to get Spencer back. We're going to get Gonzo back. We have to. We lost some key people in our bullpen. I mean, losing Lawrence hurts us a little bit because he had really gone into a nice leverage role, and then we just, we got to get some guys on track. I think that's the big thing. There's just too much inconsistency.
On the note of the bullpen, are you kind of concerned with how it's shaped right now with Santana gone, Lawrence on the shelf? You've got guys like Holdy, Kyle, Joey, all kind of inconsistent right now. Are you concerned with how the group is?
I don't know if concern's the word, but the word inconsistent. Like we have got to find some consistency. We've got to find out, we've got to find guys out that can pitch and leverage innings. And, when you're a reliever and you have those innings, you have to cover them. You have to, and realizing we're not going to be perfect all the time, but you have to be able to cover innings. And, we kind of got to figure it out because we're dinged up a little bit right now with, like you said, with Lawrence being out and then Santana's not here. So we have some guys that need to step into roles.
You don't see a lot of games where you get strikeouts? Was this more just a matter of you were getting the swings and just not the misses?
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare. I looked up in the seventh and saw that. I think you got to credit the Cubs' approach. And the one thing they do is they put the ball in play a ton. You know, I mean, we talked about suppressing contact in the pregame with Heaney, but they move the ball all the time. They do a really good job with their approach 1 through 9, and I think we saw that kind of exemplified today.
Going back to Brian in that bases loaded situation, what did you see from that at-bat that he had 3 pitches?
I mean, not having seen the pitches, I mean, he threw him 3 splits in a row. Looked like the second one he kind of chased down. The third one that he punched out on, I don't know if it was a strike or not. It looked like it kind of worked off the same location as the one before that. And, you know, it's an elite pitch, and it looks like he made a pitch.
Here's the starting pitcher comparison from tonight. Shota Imanaga, we've been talking about him quite a bit. Again, extends the scoreless streak against Pirates. Did leave the game with cramping in the 6th inning, but pitched through 5. Once again, for the 3rd time that he's pitched against Pirates, he did not allow an earned run against the Bucks. Andrew Heaney, on the other hand, retired the first 11 he faced and then ran into some trouble trying to get out of the 4th and did not escape the 5th. Let's head back to PNC Park to hear now from tonight's starter.
Injury started out really strong. What do you think happened there in the 5th?
I mean, had some good defense the first 3 innings. You can't defend homers or walks, so got to do a better job of keeping the ball in play and letting guys make plays for him.
Do you feel like you got the ball up? That's what Shelby was saying. Maybe you elevated a little in the 4th and 5th.
Not specifically, but I mean, I think I'll have to go back and look at it.
Is there anything you felt maybe mechanically, or was it maybe just not the execution you wanted?
Yeah, definitely not great execution. I mean, I think the first time through they were on balls. I mean, we just made some good plays, so I think I didn't do a good job of adjusting and you know, making better pitches. I mean, they're a good hitting team, so you can't just do the same thing every time through the lineup.
What was your impression of that O'Neill catch in center field?
Yeah, I'm fired up. I mean, anytime we can save hits, save runs, I'm fired up. We got guys, supreme athlete. So.
How tough is it against a team like that? Not just yourself, but the Pen. They put a lot of balls in play, and a lot of them end up going for extra bases.
What was the question? Sorry.
How tough is it to face a team like the Cubs when they're putting so many balls in play?
I mean, you don't know they're going to put the ball in play until the ball's out of your hands. You're going to make good decisions when the ball's in your hand and, you know, just make better pitches, I guess. I don't know.
Based on how consistent you've been early on in the season, it's kind of easier maybe to just flush this one, just kind of look forward to the next start?
I mean, I don't like losing, so there's no – I'm not happy about it, but, yeah, I mean, it's part of the game. Like, you win some, you lose some, you have great days, you have bad days. Like, it's not going to change who I am or what I do.
Veteran approach there. Yeah, those answers, huh?
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, Andrew Heaney taking ownership. Look, it's just not a great day. I like how he deflected some, I shouldn't say deflected, but he gave credit and gave praise to his defense. He knew, yeah, I mean, even though the result, no runs the first 3 innings, they were on some baseballs. There was some solid defense made behind him. He was aware of that, and then just the self-awareness of, I didn't make the adjustments that I needed to, and eventually they found holes. And you know, he even made the comment, there's no defense against walks and home runs. You know, so I need to focus on weak contact and putting the ball in play, let my defense work behind me. But hey, that's a veteran right there.
Yeah, and I love this reaction to the O'Neill Cruz catch as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, pitchers appreciate good defense and runs saved. But I thought it was awesome how he said, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing regardless of what happened today. And what he does, his recipe for success has worked. So you don't let one bad day or bad outing completely change your approach and what you are good at and what you like to do. He's going to stick with what he knows and what's been good for him. And next time out, probably get a better result.
Yep. Game 2 of the 3-game series between the Pirates and Cubs is coming up next. The guys are going to preview the pitching matchup for you when we continue on Pirates Final. But before we do, let's get a weather forecast from WPXI.
いかがでしたか。今永選手のピッチングは素晴らしく、日本人メジャーリーガーの底力を見せつけました。PCA やケリーなど若手選手の活躍も光る内容でしたね。次回の対戦も目が離せません。この動画が面白かったと思った方はチャンネル登録、 高評価お願いいたします。ご視聴ありがとうございました。